Welcome to Joy of Business Radio, hosted by Joy of Business facilitators from around the world, with special shows from Simone Milasas, the founder and creator of Joy of Business. Are you bored or dissatisfied with your work or business? Joy of Business is an invitation to a completely new way of creating. Did you know your business and job can actually be fun and joyful? If what you are currently doing isn't working for you, listen into this show full of pragmatic tools from Access Consciousness, which change everything in business, from money to finance, staff, creativity, productivity, communication, and beyond. Joy of Business Radio, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio. This is Maggie Schlarb, and I am here with Gabrielle Vena, and we are here talking about how to be bad in business. Hi, Gabrielle.
Hello, Maggie.
How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm being bad in business. I'm drinking champagne and doing a radio show.
I know. How does it get better than that? So we got together to do this radio show to, we'll get to the kind of punchline of what it is. We're going to talk about being bad in business and what that is and what that actually creates. And you might be surprised as we have our conversation go on to the next hour of what being bad in business actually creates. And maybe being bad isn't so bad after all.
It might even be good.
It might even be good. It might possibly even be great. So tell me a little bit, and let's tell everybody a little bit about you, Gabrielle. Where did you come from? And if you were to, from the perspective of, how you're supposed to be in business and how it's supposed to go, how bad are you in business?
Oh, I'm so bad. It's really interesting. When I was a little kid, my favorite game to play was that I worked in an office or had a business. I thought that was the be-all, end-all. And then as I got a little older, turns out I wasn't quite as studious as you're supposed to be and as diligent with doing homework as you're supposed to be. And was constantly told that, I had so much potential that I didn't live up to. So right there, things weren't necessarily looking good for being in business. And really, when I started to look at how many different careers I've had, it's been quite a few. And I've only done things as long as I was actually really happy with it, and it was creating my life the way I wanted to live it. And so when I was done with something, I was done with something, despite how much education or work went into creating it. And most recently, till about 7 years ago, I worked as a therapist, psychotherapist. And when I stopped doing that, there was a lot of judgment that came my way. I mean, that was perceived as quitting, as never following through with anything. And from the place most people stand in, looking at how you're supposed to be with a career, I can see where people saw that. But I actually knew there was something different that I desired to do, and some way I could work with people that was greater than that. So just looking at my track record, there is no reason to think that business and being successful in business would actually be my thing, and yet it's something I absolutely love and know something about, despite not having any education in the field.
Absolutely. And so tell me more too, how long ago was it that you stopped being a psychotherapist?
I probably all said and done close to 10 years, 9 years. And then I kind of did some other random things for a few years while I it was seeking, really what is it I want to do. And I was doing some energetic work and then came across access consciousness. And I'm like, oh, it just like hit home. And the more I play with the tools and work with people, just the greater it becomes and the more fun I have with it. It's always changing and there's always something new. So I don't get bored, and there's always something to offer anyone, regardless of what it is they're going through or think isn't working. So it's just so much fun for me.
Yeah. So I guess I look at that as okay, being bad in business is being inconsistent, right?
Totally inconsistent.
Yeah. And so when we look at being inconsistent, a lot of, I would say, every single one of us Joy of Business facilitators, but I'll speak for me too, is that I am consistently inconsistent. There's my consistency. And in that, like you were speaking about, it's the ability to deliver what is required in that moment.
It is. And the willingness to actually listen to or acknowledge whatever it is, the inklings, the awareness, however anyone gets information that maybe something needs to change, whatever that is, the willingness to listen to it and then act on it, even though it may not make any sense to anyone else.
Absolutely. And that is another thing that we talk a lot about in Joy of Business, and with the Joy of Business book club actually just started today, but if you'll be hearing this in the future, you should check it out at accessjoybusiness.com/book club. And it's really talking about the willingness to know what you know with business. And what if business isn't exactly what you think it is? What if it's the creation of your life and living, which includes, the choice to be with clients, the choice of whether you're a psychotherapist or an energy worker, or I know you do a lot of other things. What if it was the willingness to just keep going and creating as you and with no point of view?
That's the key, really, is not having a point of view or a conclusion about what the outcome is going to be, is making choices and then allowing things to unfold and then to continue making choices. One of the things we talk about with Access Consciousness is living in 10-second increments. And that may be extreme, but it's that idea of, what if every choice is only good for 10 seconds or 10 minutes or an hour, or however long it is. And when that choice isn't actually working or creating what you desired or thought it might create, you can make a different choice.
Yeah, and I'm curious what you use, Gabrielle, what tools you use. If you wake up in the morning, some days for me, it's day to day is different. And when the days where you may, if you do at all, go into the judgment and there is a point of view, what's your favorite tool?
Great question, and funny because that happened this week. I live in the United States, and there was a mass shooting in Las Vegas, and then one of my favorite musicians up and died out of nowhere the same day, and I really woke up, and normally I don't have a lot of point of view about things. I stay in allowance and the possibility of what could come from something. But I've got to say, on Monday morning of this week, I was off. And whether it was perceiving so much of what was going on with other people and whatever it was for me, I kind of let myself not do too much for about 3/4 of the day. And then I looked at it and thought, wow, this isn't fun. I'm not actually enjoying this. And it's that choice. I literally was like, okay, what can I choose right now? And it was simple as, there's these emails. I need to answer them. So I went and answered the emails. And then it was like, all right, now what can I choose? And I walked my dogs and got air and went outside. But it was that willingness to just keep making a choice. And it took, this was like Monday afternoon. It took until late morning Tuesday to actually get back into my jam and feel like me. So along with that is questions. I mean, it's the foundation of Access Consciousness and Joy of Business. We talk about just being in the question, and have to be is, how does it get me better than this? What could I choose right now that would actually be fun for me or comforting for me? Because I was, in that blue, having the blues, and I don't do that too much. But that's been the greatest tool, because for me, one of my bugaboos has always been something, there'll be some snafu or, getting into some kind of a mood, and then I just sort of stop doing things. And in the past, I would stop for, maybe several days or a week, and it would be the cycle that would loop kind of. And now with these tools, it's just like, oh, no, that's not actually what I want to do. I don't want to slow down my creation or slow down my business. So now what? It really, that choice, it trumps everything. Gary Douglas, the creator of Access, always says that choice trumps everything.
Choice trumps everything, absolutely. And you said, it was, really cool how you thread this in there, and I'm not sure if you even caught yourself, but it's you acknowledged the piece of the puzzle, so to say, of, where we tend to not acknowledge ourselves as to what's changed, but you just did. You're it used to take me a week to get out of that place, and it took you, less than 24 hours to get into this more of the space of you and the space of creation. And so how does it get better than that? And you showed a tool in that of well, what is going on here, and what can I acknowledge that's already shifted so that can keep going? I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm not sure if you noticed you did that.
Yeah, well, and I did, and now what I'm getting that in that where I would stop or slow down, and I know so many people that I've had similar stuff going on, is really been my greatest source of judgment. I would judge myself, and that's what would happen. I'd sort of slow myself down and then start judging myself for slowing down, which just perpetuated the whole cycle, right? So when we can take that step back or kind of expand out, make ourselves really big, and look at, like you said, what's going on here, and what other possibility is available. Do I have to do this, and is this what I desire to do right now?
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, too, can you say more about the expanding out? Because my guess is there's some people who are listening that may not know what that is, but you've got to do it after the break, because the break is about to begin, leaving everybody on a cliffhanger. See you in a couple of minutes.
No one needs to have a money problem, especially you.
Yeah, did you hear that? You have an unlimited and mostly unaccessed capacity to create money and a financial reality that works for you. Simone Milasas has a brand new book. It's called Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. And right now, when you go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com, if you pre-order the book, you'll get a free online course. What if you can create money in ways no one else can? Just go to gettingoutofdebtjoyfully.com to get your copy today.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Aloha, my name is Jennifer O'Neill, and I'd like to invite you to come join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time for my show, Spirit Chat. Spirit Chat focuses on simplifying the process of using the spiritual tools and gifts you were born with in a way that fits into your everyday life. I also teach different techniques that will help you learn how to navigate the spirit realm and empower you on your own spiritual journey. So join me this Wednesday as I guide you through the spirit world.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hi, and welcome back to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio. This is Maggie, and I've got Gabrielle with me. And Gabrielle, we're talking about being bad in business and what if that is actually a great thing. And we're talking about getting out of judgment of self. And Gabrielle, you were about to share something brilliant. Do you recall what you were about to share? Could you share it?
I do. I talked about expanding out, which is one of my very, very, very favorite tools. So basically, just in a nutshell, we've got our bodies, right, which are the size of a body, and then there's our being, and our beings are infinite. So would an infinite being actually fit in the size of a body? Well, no. And if you close your eyes and look to see, like, where are the outside edges of you? And can you actually find them? Or are you everywhere you look? And so sometimes if we're feeling like, for instance, my example of earlier this week, having feelings, sad or just sort of blue or anxious. This works really well with that. If you can just ask, and this happens at your request, but ask yourself, your being, to expand out to the size of the room you're in all directions, so up into the sky, down into the ground, and then expand out to the size of the city you're in, and then the size of either the province or the state or country you're in. Some countries are the size of the state I live in, so and then you can expand out so you're as big as the planet that we're on, and go through the planet and up into the sky. And then you can keep going from there. You can go to expand out to at least 100,000 miles or kilometers in all directions. 500,000 miles or kilometers in all directions. When you do that, do you actually notice something different? And you can extend out to the size of the universe and beyond. I'm just going to stop there for the sake of the show. But when you're that much space, things don't impact you in the same way. You're not trying to cram all of this awareness or, anxiety into the size of your body. When you're as big as the planet or the solar system, you're bigger than any of that other stuff that's going on. And there can be so much ease with that. And what I find, and so many people I know find, is when we expand out that big, suddenly there's a space from which we can actually be aware of things or see things from a totally different perspective, and there's a different choice available because you're not being impacted by whatever it was that was maybe bothering you in the first place. And you don't have to have something going on to do this. I do it every morning just because it's fun, and I do it throughout the day when I start to feel like, oh, maybe I've actually making myself smaller than I actually am. So one of the questions you can ask to make it really quick and easy is, how much space can I occupy to have ease with all of this? If there's something
I
going
love
on.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how much space can I have with this to have ease with it? Like, is that what you just said?
How much space?
So you have,
how much space can I occupy or can I be to have ease with this?
Yeah, and for everybody listening too, trust and know that your body and your being do it. As soon as like Gabrielle asks you to do that, and if you're listening again, you can just be with how she described it, is like that will, like your being will do that if it's being asked. And like, what could you create with being spacious with something versus oftentimes it's like you've got to focus on the task and it becomes this narrow thing. But if you're space with it, what I found is that you can move through things a lot faster. Things get created faster, and there isn't that like adrenaline pump that seems to have to come with it, but it actually allows like a flow. So, what would it be like to be total spacious with everything that you're doing in business and in life?
Absolutely. And people are so busy, right? And adding more and more to their plates. And, thank you for bringing that piece of it up, Maggie. It's like, if you do have that adrenaline pump going, which, I've noticed I've had recently, and it is that constant reminder to be bigger and be space. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it does speed things up. And that's another thing I'm curious. So, Maggie, for you, what makes you bad in business? Like, what makes you really qualified to be bad in business?
Well, let me name the ways that I could be bad in business. Well, I'm a total, I really allow my day to roll out organically. I do not have set hours. That I'm not a planner, but I'm unplanner in the sense that there isn't set hours. And I have an awareness of what is required for my business, but it's not mapped out. Because when things are mapped out, especially like if you think about a business plan or something, when things are mapped out, it becomes boring and unfun. And then I have to do things at a certain time, and they don't get done, and then nothing gets done. But so what makes me terribly bad in business in one way is I really just open up my calendar and look at the day and, okay, well, what's required of me? Start asking questions. What's required of me today? Where is my attention required? And then I see where I have clients, and I see where I have group calls and, my own mentoring for business in that. And then I let my knowing guide me as to what to create in the pockets and spaces in between those scheduled things. And some may consider that bad. And I don't. I consider that fun.
Absolutely. Like you're allowing you to show up in your business as your business, right? Rather than that set plan of, it's Monday morning, so it's time for ABC, and then 1, 2, 3. Yep.
Yeah, and it actually allows. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say.
I was going to say, it actually allows this really fun. Like today is a very different day. I am not at home and I have my kiddo with me. So he's been playing alongside me, and then I'll break and we have like a Nerf gun fight. And there's still plenty of work to be done. And what I know is that I know that it's really fun for me to spend time with my kiddo. So I choose that. And it actually allows my business to grow. And that, someone might consider that me bad in business because I have the point of view that when I'm having fun, my business grows. I don't have the point of view that if I'm at my computer, my business grows. I actually have the point of view that when I'm having fun and when there's joy and when there's play, my business is growing. And it's just wonderful because, I'm giggling in the basement where I'm staying and just trusting that everything is growing, and it is. So how does it get better than that?
Well, that brings up two things. So one thing I want to say is I'm going to tell on you, Maggie. So this week on Facebook, Maggie posted the most joyous picture of her hula hooping while she was on a business call and maybe participating, not necessarily leading it. And sure. I mean, that, and I have to tell you this, Maggie, it wasn't until I just said this and I realized seeing that and smiling as big as I was is part of what kind of brought me out of the little funk I went into. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I like having fun in business, so thank you. I completely forgot that until right now. It really did. It was amazing.
Yay. Thank you for sharing that with me. Yeah, I definitely, there's the other thing that I will often do that could be, it's not, I'm nothing's really bad and could be considered bad, is I love to move, especially when being creative. And that's why my hula hoop was calling the other day while I was on a business conversation. And no, I wasn't leading it. I don't know if I'd be doing hula hooping while I was leading it. I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll let you know. But this movement piece that comes in, that I often will make those phone calls where I'm checking in with people while I'm moving, is that works for me. Mm-hmm.
There is something about movement. And it was so counterintuitive to me in the beginning, yet, well, it wasn't counterintuitive. It was counter this reality and actually quite intuitive if I actually allowed my awareness to kick in, that when I'm out in nature, like on the beach with my feet in the sand, or, hiking or walking or running in trees, or skiing down a mountain, get the most brilliant, inspired awarenesses about things that would be really fun to create. So there really is something to that, and whatever that is for each one of us. It may not be moving out in nature for someone else. It could be something totally different, but whatever it is for you, the listener, that if you start to notice, where you get these inspired ideas, so to speak. Mm-hmm. There's some brilliance in business if you're willing to follow that.
Absolutely. And it really is the willing. Go ahead. We're so excited about this conversation. And it really is, I was going to say, it's the willingness to, allow yourself what brings you joy. Right? And it's when that inspiration, motivation, whatever you want to call it, strikes, and it's oh my goodness, the beach is calling. And it's yes, for me today, it's I have a bunch of emails that need to go out, but guess what? As soon as we're done here, I'll tell you what's happening, because we're going into break right now. So we'll catch you on the flip side of break, and I'll let you know what's happening and how I'm so bad yet so awesome with business. How to get better than that.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Tune in to the Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Putting the fun back in business. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, repeat. Business, work, your job, hate it, bored, want to leave it? Or business, work, your job, fun, play, joy, fun. Which would you like to choose? You may not know this, but business, your job, work can actually be fun. Shake up your business routine. Check out my 3-part free video series on putting the fun back in business. Go to accessjoybusiness.com/fun and put the fun back in business.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi there, and welcome back to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio with myself, Maggie, and then we have Gabrielle. We're both Joy of Business facilitators talking about being bad in business. And I left you on a cliffhanger of what's happening next. So I was saying how terrible I am because there's things that need to get done in my business, and it's been a different kind of day. And right after this, happening, I know, it's been a different kind of day. And so it's like, what if you allowed yourself to follow the energy? Because I'm headed out to go play an adventure with my kiddo, and it might mean that I'm up later, but it also means that I get to have fun with my kiddo, and I get to create, and everybody gets to have the joy and adventure of living that works for them, for me and my kiddo. So how does it get better than that? And
well, it's such a key. One of the things that's part of the conversation brought up for me is that money follows joy. So joy doesn't necessarily follow money. So the more joy and fun that we can choose, the more of an invitation we are to money. It's like that vibrational compatibility. It's like, oh, money's like, oh, I'm going to go play over there because this is fun. Money doesn't want to hang out with boring, depressed, and frustrated. Money wants to go to a party. So, the more we can find whatever it is for us that brings the ease and the space and the playfulness to our businesses, a huge invitation for money to come to us. I mean, everything's energy, and money is energy, and joy is energy, and they're much more alike energetically than drudgery, hard work, and frustration and money. They don't have that much energetically in common.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what is possible when we allow ourselves the joy and the fun of doing business different?
Absolutely.
And so the other thing that I keep talking about, like being bad in business, is oftentimes what we're asked to do if you go into like traditional business, and this can, like, it works for some, and I think that I know that the Joy of Business facilitators, we all get together and we have these Skype threads that go on where we're celebrating each other, and it's really cool because we facilitate the same class, but we don't, because every class is different. But we're actually willing to contribute to the growth of each other's classes, but in various ways. And so I'm kind of going backwards at this, but it's like, what if you didn't have to compete with people? Like, what if it was like you were totally bad by actually contributing to someone who was quote unquote your competitor?
Yeah, isn't it different? It's so different. And then I was saying to Maggie earlier today that just in the last week I was reading something about how do you handle it was a whole article by someone, most people revere in business, but it was really about how do you handle your competition and how do you get the competitive edge. And that's when I looked at like how I function with business and the Joy of Business facilitators, how we are with each other. And that just isn't there. And that energy of contribution creates so much more for all of us. For me personally, I find it so inspiring. Like, I create more as a result of either energetically or actually doing some physical contribution to other people's creations and classes. And by watching everyone else do that, it's such a different energy. And I think when people say are looking for someone to work with, you know, everyone, we're all different. Like, yes, we're all facilitating the same classes technically, but like you said, they're all different depending on the people that are in the classes, because they create the classes with their questions and what they want to look at, and each facilitator, how we're all different and have a different awareness or perspective on something. And so people are ultimately going to choose, hopefully, what's going to work for them. And there really isn't a need to compete. There are a lot of people out there. You know, there's a lot of people who go and buy products, and a lot of people who take classes, and a lot of people who get coaching, or, you know, whatever it is your business may be. There really isn't a shortage of people. And when you're not engaging in that energy of competition, I think it shows. There's just something different about it that I don't know if words are really adequate to describe.
I would call it magnetizing, right? And it's like this magnetizing pull of, you know what, like it's so funny. I'm like, it's so yoga, but it's not. It's like seeing the gift of someone else and acknowledging it, right? I see the gift in you kind of thing. But it's like really being willing to see the gift in others and know what they can contribute. Knowing that they do contribute to the world and acknowledging that. Because the other piece is that if you see that in others, it's like, it's actually a reflection of you. And if you're willing to go out in the world and be like, well, these people are brilliant, and they also facilitate Joy of Business classes. They also do this, and guess what? They have a different way of doing it. So if you want to go and like if this energy is matches what you're after, go to that person if that's going to create more, right? Because it's like, what's going to create the most?
And I think, you know, when we're willing to listen to our awareness, we actually do know something will pop for us, and we may not have the why of it, but we just know that something pops. And when you can choose that class or that person, I mean, and I'll take classes from other Joy of Business facilitators, because we all, and with anything else that I do, you know, we all have something different to offer. You know, it isn't, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
Totally lost ADD, another thing that makes me really bad in business. I have 15 things going on in my head at once.
Well, yeah, the 15 things. So, yeah, ADD, you're like, how terrible can we be in business with ADD? And, like, what tools do you use when, you know, because I have like ADHD on steroids some days. What tools do you use and put into play when it's like we get into this? Because sometimes when I'm in ADHD mode, I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrible, wrong, and getting nothing done. And then I'm curious, like, what tools do you use when you're in that mode?
Gosh, it's such a great question. And it's actually like another Joy of Business facilitator, Heather Nichols, was talking about this in a class I'm doing with her. And, you know, that it really is allowing myself, like I'll be working on something and I may be halfway through an email to someone and then something else pops in my head and it's like, oh, that. Now, this reality would say finish that email, see it through to the end and send it. But a lot of times I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to go, and it may just be for 3 minutes, go do this other thing for 3 minutes. And because it's up in my world and I get it down, whatever it is I have to do, even if it's just jotting something down and then getting back to the email. But realizing that there's a capacity in being able to be aware of so much at once, and that, you know, sometimes it's following those little, as I put it, like bubbles, you know, it's like, oh, this, oh, this, oh, this. I can do 5 different things in 1 hour, and maybe none of it gets completed in that hour, but if I continue on, it all gets done eventually, and sometimes with more inspiration and genius than it would have been had I just tackled each task one at a time. And the expanding out can really help with that for me, the tool we already gave.
Yeah.
And the question of, what's required now?
Yeah, what's required now, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about you, Maggie? What
about me? When it's like, stop it when I go into the judgment of like, you're not getting anything done. And sometimes I just have to like take it. Sometimes it's just a split second to pause, do the expand out, and go, okay, what's going to create the most here? And in that quick period of time, so as a business owner, it's like having this bird's eye view, or this grand awareness of all the moving parts in my business, and saying, okay, what is required here right now? And then going from there. And from there, it becomes the bebopping around like a big, you know, as if I'm flying an airplane and there's all these buttons and you click this and you click this and you pay attention to this, right? And allowing that to be, and actually what's right about this I'm not getting. That one. Yeah, that one. Yes. And what's right about me I'm not getting. Is we all can have this like crazy inner critic that can come in, if that's what you call it, and this voice that is not kind, and it's stopping that voice, stopping that judgment, and just allowing myself to be like, okay, what's actually right about this I'm not getting? Oftentimes I know for me, and it really is about, I've gotten to know me and I continue to get to know me. For me, it's like when I'm doing that, there's something else that requires my attention that I'm not paying attention to. If I'm bebopping around and I'm creating crap, so to say, it's something that actually requires my attention that I'm not paying attention to. And then that pause, expanding out, it gives me the space to go, oh, right, this. And something gets dealt with in a timely manner that I'm not even sure how to explain it, but it occurs when you're willing to do that. So we can share more about that after this break. Thank you for the questions, because that actually assisted in getting some more awareness around that. And we'll see you all, we'll chat with you all after the break.
What do you hate about business? And do you want to change it? If you don't want to change anything about your job or business, stop listening. You're all good. If you'd like to have money just for the fun of it and stop the negative self-talk, check out Joy of Business. This is about knowing what you know about business and creating more than you can imagine. Access Joy of Business 101 classes offered around the world. Go to accessjoyofbusiness.com/101.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hello, I'm Lisa Berry. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for Light on Living, a chance to see new, hear different, and feel more as I shine the spotlight on all the ways to lighten the load of life's challenges. Light on Living is your link to that new way you're looking for, that new understanding that will enhance your life, and that positive connection that will support your growth. So join me, and you'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hey there, and welcome back to Joy of Business on OMTimes Radio. And this is Maggie Schlarb, and we have Gabrielle Vena with me. We are both Joy of Business facilitators talking about being bad in business, which is actually being brilliant in business. And we were just before the break, we were talking about ADD and ADHD and what do you do with that, and how do you follow your awareness when things get the sense of it's crazy and you're jumping all over the place. And really what it comes down to is the willingness to pause, ask a question, and where's my attention required, and what's right about me I'm not getting. And Gabrielle, I would love to know anything else that you can add to that, because I get that we might have similar qualities in that.
We
department.
might. It's one of the places that I would perceive that I was going to is overwhelm, right? And then that kind of anxious feeling would come in, like there's going to be adrenaline overload, anxious kind of feeling. And one of the greatest gifts, well, there's several, but one of the questions I heard very, very early in Access was, would an infinite being actually get overwhelmed? Oh, well, no, I'm an infinite being, so I wouldn't get overwhelmed. And realizing that we get indoctrinated into, when you've got this much going on and this much scheduled, and you have, you're a single mom with a kid and you've got a business and all these different things you need to do, that overwhelm and sort of the status quo. And so what if it isn't overwhelm? What if all of that stuff that's going on and when you kind of what might be perceived as anxiety kicks in is actually like a creative capacity and a creative genius of all the things that we know we would like to do. It's just there's so much churning that for me I would like to get out or create. It's not, oh, I can't handle it. And so like you said, like go maybe exercise. And one of the things that I'll frequently do is just even walk outside onto my patio. I have kind of stones that are on the ground, and I'll just take, my shoes off. And I mean, I don't necessarily meditate, but I might, but I'll go stand with my feet, like either on the earth or on the stones, and sit in the sun. And it may just be for 5 minutes, but so frequently that is just enough for me to like breathe deeply and, like you said, then look and start asking questions about, all right, what's required. And I have a kind of funny story. You were saying sometimes when you follow that, whatever it is that's tugging at you, something gets done or gets created in a way you don't expect. And that actually happened to me. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia right now in Canada. I live in Los Angeles, and I had not yet booked a room for this class that I come up here to take. And I was in the middle of doing 2 different things at once. And all of a sudden it was like kayak, hotel room, and it kept poking at me. And so instead of, finishing the task I was on, I went to kayak, and I do recall kind of having that little judgy thing come in, like, seriously, you're going to go cruise kayak now? I got such an amazing rate on this hotel I'm in. I mean, it was $150 cheaper than any other rate. And I'm sitting in the room right now. And, you know, it's in this great part of Vancouver. And it was not available again when I looked later. I actually went and I booked it and prepaid for the room because it just made sense. And then I could still cancel it if I wanted. But had I not gone and done that then, I'm not sure that I would have actually gotten this room, you know, or if I would have chosen it at the rate it was supposed to be. So, yeah, you just don't necessarily know ahead of time what will get created by the choice to follow something.
Absolutely. Yeah, so cool. What a great example, too, because it's like the joy business is really about creating your life and living, and part of that is you're in class for a phenomenal class, right? And it's like, and you created this beautiful hotel room for less than what, you know, is typically for. So how does it get better than that? Like being really bad and following your awareness. So I want to know, do you have anything on your calendar that you can invite people to?
I do. God, it would have been really great if I wrote the dates down. Hold on. I'm on a phone and I have a calendar in front of me. I actually have an online Getting Out of Your Own Way with Business and Money class, which is sort of a specialty class we do in Joy of Business. It's going to be online via Zoom next week, actually, a week from today on October 12th. And you can find, for both Maggie and I, you can find classes on the Access Consciousness website. So it would be accessconsciousness.com / I think it's / Gabrielle. Is there a dash? Oh, gosh. You can search for classes. Or GabrielleVena.com is my website. That's also listed there. But that'll just point you back to the Access site. And then I have a foundation class coming up in November, the weekend of the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. And I'm actually in the process of scheduling more a Joy of Business 101. I just haven't quite picked the date yet. So how about you, Maggie? What do you have?
Well, I was just one more. Do you take one-on-one clients too?
I do, and I actually I do one-on-one clients, or, you know, one of the things that I started playing with a friend that has a small business is actually working with her and just doing some brief coaching sessions, kind of looking at how the business works for her and her 3 employees. And that's really fun too. So, yep, one-on-one, I can, you know, do the business stuff too. If you have a business and you want to bring your other employees into it, like corporate coaching.
Beautiful.
Awesome. But it doesn't have to be a corporation.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you have?
Live on Tuesday of next week, I have a 4-part telecall, the Joy Business 101. So you can find that actually on accessjoybusiness.com. You can find Joy Business classes there too. And I do take one-on-one clients, which is super fun for me. I love how far we can go in just a quickie or like an hour-long session, how far we can go, because these tools absolutely rock. And we can get over whether you love being bad in business or you enjoy being bad in business, wherever you are, wherever you're at with that conversation. But yeah, the Access Business 101, go check it out. See what it is. It's really cool to like pragmatically go to like the underlying of like, why are you here to create business? And not necessarily why, but like what brings you fun? And let's like take away all those like points of view where you think you are bad and get you into creation mode. And
absolutely. It's a game changer. I mean, for me, when I took the Joy of Business 101 and then I took a Joy of Business 102 class, it's really where I went, oh, wait a minute, I may actually know something here. It changed everything for me.
Beautiful. I love that. And I know we're about to finish up. I'm not so sure when the music is going to hit. But is there anything else that you can say about the joy, I mean, the joy of being bad in business, and actually what if being bad was actually the greatest gift you could give yourself and your business?
Yeah, so one of the things that kept popping into my mind while we were talking is this idea, and Access Consciousness is the only place I've ever heard this, but the idea is, what if your greatest wrongnesses are actually behind that, or the flip side of that? If you take it and do a 180, there's actually a strongness or a capacity there that if you weren't making yourself wrong for the kind of, say, one side of it, on the other side of it, there's usually a brilliant capacity there. And what if you were willing to look at any of those places where you've decided you're bad in business, that you've let stop you or slow you down, and actually look to see if you might have a capacity there that you have never acknowledged.
Yeah. And that's one of the greatest gifts of these tools, is actually, like, I have a phys ed degree, right? But I actually have a brilliance in business that I thought I had to go back to school for, but guess what? I don't. It's so great. There's so much freedom in that. And that whole, flipping everything else on its head, I love that too. Because it really is like, what if nothing was actually wrong with you? And what if you know far more about business than you ever even considered?
Absolutely.
Business isn't just wearing suits.
It sure isn't. And thank goodness, because if it were, I probably wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't be so great at it because I wouldn't enjoy it so much.
Right. And, like, business isn't just wearing suits. And what if being in a suit could be fun? So we'll leave you on that note. Have a marvelous rest of your day. Thanks for being bad with us.